at this place. Come after me. I'm a man. I'm for you. Can't wait. Let's go.
Good morning and welcome. It is Coffee and Sports. It is the morning show presented by Sports Empire Network. Thank you so much for making us part of your morning routine. I am Chris, and of course, that right there, that is Mo. Mo, how are you this morning, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks to everybody that's joining Chris and I this morning. Right now, I'm just getting my fill of NBA action because it's that long wait for the actual Super Bowl that I can imagine how anxious the players are because I'm ready for the game to be played like right now.
Yeah, we're going to hit the weekend and then you're going to go, oh, we still have a whole nother week
exactly
to go. I mentioned yesterday, Mo, that The Athletic came out with a pretty interesting article in regards to the New York Jets. And I want to circle back to that and lead with that here this morning. So The Athletic breaks down a lot of things that happened within the New York Jets locker room, and it focuses specifically on a couple of different aspects. The first aspect that it focuses on is head coach Robert Saleh, who I think, Mo, you and I, during various parts of the season, from an outsider point of view, we thought that Saleh was doing a decent job of kind of holding the camp together. We thought that he deserved an opportunity to come back this season because obviously that's not what he signed up for last season. That's not the result he thought he was going to get with Aaron Rodgers going down 4 plays into the year. But then you look at the Athletic article, and it paints a little bit of a different picture. It paints the picture of a head coach who, Mo, didn't really have control of his team to the point where multiple people, I think the article referenced 30 different people, not by name, obviously, but 30 different sources from the New York Jets organization, ranging from players to personnel to coaches. And one of the common threads within the article when it came to head coach Robert Saleh is that he's paranoid. And it specifically referenced one situation where all these leaks were coming from the New York Jets organization. And apparently Coach Saleh brought the coaches together and threatened to take their cell phones so he could go through their cell phones so he could figure out who was leaking things to the media because he needed it to stop. Now, Mo, if you have a middle schooler at home or even a high schooler, I feel like that's an appropriate route to take. You tell them enough times, don't do this, don't do that, don't be talking to this person, don't have this on your phone. And when you feel like that's not getting through to them and they might still be doing it, I feel like that's when you can say, all right, give me your phone. I'm going to see what's going on. And we're going to go from there. And either I'm going to be wrong, which I hope I am, or I'm going to be right, which means we're going to have another conversation in about 2 minutes.
Right.
Mo, these are grown men. These are grown men.
Correct.
These are adults. These are not his children. These are professionals, and he's demanding their phones so he can go through them, so he can get to the bottom of who is the leak within the New York Jets organization. Let's start there, Mo. Man, that's interesting.
I'm just wondering how the assistant coaches look at that, because I'm sure some of them like, I'm not giving you my phone, man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not giving you my phone. That's none of your business. Like that. If he's that paranoid, and look, like I said, on the outside, look, perception can be reality. On the outside, he seems like the kind of coach that was bonded with his team. Like he's a motivator, that type of coach, a player's coach, if you will. That's the impression that I had. But going forward, if this article is remotely true, that he actually said, I'm going to take your phones or give me your phones. That's insane. Like you said, you brought it up. We actually have a 7th grader. We just took her phone. We did. We took her phone because she wasn't doing her chores. That's what it is.
Right.
You'll get your phone back when you do your chores correctly for a period of a week. But that's what you do with your children. The idea of having that conversation with grown men, that's insane. I feel like if you have that conversation, you further distance yourself from the team, right? The coaches are gonna be like, this guy's an ass. Like, you know what I mean? That they're gonna come away out of that meeting like, can you believe that guy? He really thought somebody was gonna give him his phone, and because they're humans, they'll probably have a conversation with the different skill groups they work with, maybe special teams. Like, do you know that fool asked me for my phone?
No, you know somebody in that group, like they reached. He was like, "Give me your phones," and as one of the coaches reached, and are like, "Oh, we're not. We're not.
Right.
Oh, my bad.
Right.
So I wasn't gonna give it to him. Like I was being respectful, guys.
100%. One guy reached, and everybody else was looking at him like, "The hell are you doing?
You're not actually gonna give him the phone, are you?"
Right.
Also,
Guaranteed.
in that article, it was very straightforward. And this was another common thread amongst the 30 people that this writer spoke to about the general manager position. And apparently, Mo, it was a joke within the New York Jets team last season that their general manager was actually the assistant general manager to Aaron Rodgers.
Wow.
Again, not a great look. Not a great look as an organization when there are a lot of voices within your organization who think your quarterback is the one who is running the decision-making process of your team. Again, we joke about it all the time. Aaron Rodgers, friends and family plan. We know that they brought in certain people to appease Aaron. We know they did. We know that Aaron had a list. He can say all he wants that he didn't have a list, but we know that's true. But Mo, it's one thing to say, hey, this team kind of bent over backwards to get Aaron here. And then once he was here, we just locked down and it was business. We grinded. It was a thing.
Right.
It's a different thing when the season is over and the people within your organization are referring to your quarterback as your general manager. Because that, to me, Mo, says it wasn't just he made a bunch of demands back in July and August and the team gave in to them. It was he had this kind of push or pull or hold throughout the entire season. Mind you, a season where he played 4 snaps.
I'm kind of thrown by this whole article because, like you said, if this is true, then Robert Saleh, the funny thing is you led with the paranoia. But if my quarterback has more power than I do, has more say than I do, that might invoke some paranoia, right? That might invoke some paranoia. If you've got a GM, the GM usually comes to the coach and goes, this is what we're planning on doing. These are the guys we're looking at, the acquisitions we're trying to make. But according to the article, what's going on is Aaron is getting with the GM and going, I actually need this guy. And if you can find a way to make a move to bring me in that guy. And Saleh is the last guy in the room to know what's going on with his own football team. That's not a good look. And you're right. Look, I get going all in on a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. If you believe, look at our team. We're built to win now. Aaron is the final piece. That's getting him there. What I don't understand is once you get him there, he's not just one of the guys. Yes, he's your quarterback, but he shouldn't be your quarterback / GM. That kind of power isn't even reserved for a quarterback like Tom Brady. Tom Brady had some say, but he didn't have that kind of power. That's insane. And I guess you could make the argument, well, we are talking about an organization that hasn't won anything since the 60s. I get that. But to bend over like that and then to bend over again, it's not a good look internally, let alone this come into light for the rest of the league and other people to see. That, to me, if anything, I kind of understand the paranoia from Saleh. Like, I don't really know if I even have control of the squad. Like, do I have control of the locker room, or does Aaron have control of the locker room?
Many people within the organization described Aaron and Nathaniel Hackett as frat brothers. And then specifically when it came to Nathaniel Hackett, the quote from the article was, for most of the season, Hackett would meet with offensive line coach / running game coordinator Keith Carter and passing game coordinator Todd Downing during the week, but he wouldn't get together with the rest of the offensive staff until last-minute game prep.
Like you said, it's
how
Aaron,
does that happen the entire season?
That's insane.
Who's meeting with the offense? Aaron?
Right. Well, you know that's who's meeting with the offense. they're like, where's Hackett at? And Aaron's like, he's coming later. I got this. Look, this is what we're gonna do.
Because we know it's not Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's not meeting with the offense.
No. That sounds like an organization in disarray. It really does. If that's how your season played out, it literally was a week to week, you don't know who's running the show kind of thing, or maybe you did, and it wasn't your head coach and it wasn't your GM. And Nathaniel Hackett apparently had a little bit more say or sway than you would expect from a coordinator.
I mean, clearly he earned it off his previous coaching job with the Denver Broncos. I mean, he did such a bang-up job over there, Mo. The last thing that the article talks about is that it was a continued narrative in the Jets locker room and in the building that Robert Saleh felt that the New York Giants were never receiving the same kind of negative pressure and negative publicity as the New York Jets, despite the fact that the Giants made the playoffs last year and were having struggles this season. The press was never on them the same way as they were on him and the New York Jets. Paranoia.
It is paranoia, but you guys went out and got Aaron Rodgers. The press already knows who Danny Dimes is. I mean,
it's not that interesting,
right? I'm not. Come on, the press isn't going to be like, well, they got Danny Dimes. Expectations is Super Bowl. I don't think they think that. You got Aaron Rodgers with the talent that you already had, and people immediately said you're at least a Super Bowl contender, even if you don't win it all. Maybe you're in the AFC title game or something to that effect. Yes, that's why the press was there. Aaron brings that kind of press. You do have talent on both sides of the football. The expectations, fairly or unfairly, I think they should have been through the roof. Now, obviously, once Rodgers goes down, you have to recalculate, and it changes everything. It really does. And I think that you have to remember, you are in New York, and you get Zach Wilson in there, and it becomes the Zach Wilson show, and the lows are really low and the highs, they don't come that often. They follow that too. They do. It's news. With the Giants, Danny Dimes was gone not too long after Aaron Rodgers. He played a few games and he was gone. Nobody was really looking for the Giants this season. They weren't. And if you want to say pressure, maybe pressure in the sense this way. At least the Giants, they have won Super Bowls in recent memory, right? They have won Super Bowls in recent memories. The last time the Jets won a Super Bowl, most fans right now weren't born.
It's fair. Mo, let's not hammer the New York Jets all morning. There's plenty of other teams we can talk about, like America's team, like the Dallas Cowboys. We thought it was over. We thought that because the season was done and the Cowboys were out of the playoffs, we were going to have a little break from Micah Parsons. No. Micah Parsons was back at it again. And Mo, don't you worry. I know you were concerned, but he has all the faith in the world in Mike McCarthy. Well, isn't that great? Isn't that great, Micah Parsons? The same Micah Parsons who at one point said that CeeDee Lamb was the best wide receiver in the league. The same Micah Parsons who 1 week said that CeeDee Lamb should be the league MVP, only 3 weeks later to say that Dak Prescott should be the league MVP, only 2 weeks later to say that Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys are unfairly criticized by the media, and that was a narrative that he banged on the entire season all the way through. It should come as no surprise that at some point, Micah Parsons was going to throw his full support behind his current head coach because, Mo, that is what Micah Parsons does. He is a rah-rah guy. I don't know if him and Jerry have lunch together once a week. I don't know if they golf on the weekends, but they are drinking the same Kool-Aid, whatever Kool-Aid that is, because whenever Micah speaks, it is always above and beyond, pushing Cowboys-related things so far past what they actually are. I understand supporting your head coach. I have no issue supporting your head coach. But now is not the time to come out and do that. Now is not the time to come out and just say what it is. I'm glad Mike's back. I think we have unfinished business with Mike. That's it. But to come out and say and push and elevate the bar to the fact that Mike can get you to a Super Bowl. Mike can do this and Mike can do that. Where has it been? 3 consecutive seasons of 12 wins. Your defense, Micah, your defense that you're supposed to be the best player on was just embarrassed. But don't worry, because Mike McCarthy is the guy. You can't have it both ways. You can't fail in the playoffs 3 straight years. You can't have one of the best defenses in the league and then get absolutely steamrolled in a playoff game, which you were favored to win, by the way. At home. And then come out 2 weeks later and try to tell us with your Dallas-colored blue glasses, tinted blue, that everything is okay. Everything is great. We're not dumb. Cowboy fans, I don't think, are dumb. They're unrealistic. But you can't tell them 2 weeks after that everything is okay. Now, you can tell them 3 months after that everything is okay, and they're going to believe you. And they're going to fully be back on that train. But not even Dallas Cowboy fan, who is still hurting from the beatdown, is going to accept 2 or 3 weeks later that everything is okay and we are back on the path to the Super Bowl, because you're not. You make some changes. Now, if you told me that we're going to be in contention for the division next year, we are still a playoff team,
I agree.
Fully on board. Mike McCarthy has proven that. He has proven that you are a division contender with him. He has proven that you are a playoff caliber team with him. But Mo, there comes a point where you just have to stop spewing the ridiculous nonsense. And maybe, Mo, the reason he does it is because he has this owner named Jerry Jones, who also can't get out of his own way, because he was asked about Bill Belichick this week. And instead of just giving a politically correct answer, he has to tackle it and embrace it head on by saying that, and I don't want to misquote him, so let me open that up right now. He said that he has no doubt, those were his words, I have no doubt that the Cowboys and Bill Belichick could work together in the future. Mo, no doubt is what he said.
Right, but why go there? Why
no
even
doubt.
go there?
It sounds like it's basically signed and sealed and delivered. No doubt it could happen.
So you bring in McCarthy back for a lame duck season, and obviously anything shy of the Super Bowl, and you're saying Belichick's the head coach.
That's how I read it.
My only problem with that is, then if that's the case, why not make Belichick your head coach now? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why not make him the head coach now? Because if you were to win the Super Bowl, well, you can't fire Mike McCarthy, could you? You're going to bring him back. You're going to bring him back again, right? Probably giving him an extension because it'll be the first championship in over 30 years. He's going to be back for a minute. What I don't understand is with Micah Parsons is, if you're so full-throated in your support of Mike McCarthy, where was that support like right after the game when it was fresh and all the rumors were going around like he's gone, he's probably done? I didn't hear anybody come out and go, I got him. I got him. That's my guy. That's my coach. You followed him and you fully supported him after you knew, because you have no say, that he was coming back. It's easy to say that's my guy when you have no choice but to accept the fact that that's your guy. what I would say to Micah Parsons, who's a talented, gifted player, is where were you in that game? I just don't remember your name being called very often. Where were you? Like if you're that kind of player that people say you are, where were you when it matters? Because to me, you were a no-show. Then the defense as a whole didn't play well, but your job is to get after the quarterback and make plays. And I don't recall you being a factor at all. So look, the Cowboys are a good football team, Cowboy fans. I'm not killing your team. They're a good football team. And they'll make the playoffs again next year. I'm certain of that. And they will contend for the division, as Chris alluded to. I'm certain of that. And with their current hierarchy, they will come up short in the playoffs. I'm certain of that too.
The defense obviously was a letdown for the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs, and it will be interesting to see, Mo, what the defense looks like next season, because it looks like Dan Quinn is not going to be there. Now, he will not be the next head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. That went to Coach Macdonald from the Baltimore Ravens, signed, sealed, and delivered that yesterday. Let's start there, Mo. Obviously, he is a very talented defensive coordinator. He is also now the youngest head coach in the National Football League. So if you're Seattle, you went from the oldest head coach in the National Football League in Pete Carroll to now you have the youngest head coach in the National Football League in Coach Macdonald. I'm not going to sit here and say he can't do the job. I'm not going to sit here and say anything negative about him because he did a tremendous job with the Baltimore Ravens defense.
He did.
Okay. That being said, Mo, we know what defensive-minded head coaches look like in the league. We know their track record. Yes, there are always going to be outliers. Yes, good coaches are always going to have levels of success, all right? Mike Tomlin is a good coach. He is a defensive-minded head coach. He has had success, and he has had consistent success. But at the end of the day, your goal as a head coach in the National Football League is to make it to conference championship games and contend in Super Bowls. That is where you are. It is not just to win the division. It is not just to make the playoffs. It is not just to have a winning record. Your ultimate goal is championships. And I think most head coaches would settle if our disappointment of a year was we just got to the conference championship and we lost.
Right.
I think most would accept that year in and year out with a couple of Super Bowl appearances along the way. It is what it is. Overall, defensive head coaches in the National Football League have proven as a whole that the odds of them getting there consistently are not that great. And there's various factors, right? The quarterback situation comes into play, the roster, there's a lot of things that are built into that. Seattle had success with Pete Carroll, defensive-minded head coach. Mo, do you like that they stuck with the similar philosophy? Because that's basically what they're doing. You could argue that they are getting a younger version of Pete Carroll, who is more in tune with the modern version of today. Not saying Pete wasn't, but at the same time, he is 72 years old. So even though he runs around like he's 40 years old doing his thing, it doesn't change the fact that he is a 72-year-old head coach. And that is going to, no matter how young you perceive yourself to be, no matter how much energy you have, being 72 years old is going to be a natural barrier that prevents you from bonding and motivating and getting in there with some 24, 25-year-old guys. Like, just that age difference alone is going to be a hurdle for some players, right?
For sure.
So now you get a 36-year-old in there. He is going to be a lot more relatable by default to the players on his team. Hell, I don't know who's on that roster right now in Seattle, but there could be players the same age as him on that roster.
A couple of them at least, right?
Right. Because you have veterans in this league who play into their late 30s and early 40s. I don't know if any of them are on Seattle, but it's very possible he could be coaching people at some point this season that are the same age or older than him. There are benefits of having a young voice in the locker room.
I agree.
So clearly, and before this, they were talking about bringing Dan Quinn in, who was a disciple of their previous head coach. So clearly, this is the mindset they wanted. They wanted a defensive mindset in Seattle. So my question to you, Mo, is is that smart in the NFL today? I know they've had success with it, but this is a new coach. This is an unproven coach. And we have seen plenty of coordinators on both sides of the ball have really great seasons or a really great 2 or 3 season stretch with Team A, and then they're hired by Team B, and more often than not, it is not replicated. Not saying that's going to be the situation here, not saying he's going to fail out of the gate, but the law of averages is not with coordinators in these situations.
They're not. And I will say this. Look, you brought up a great point. The fact that he's 36 years old, he will be able to relate better to his locker room. Look, some of the guys in his locker room, just on a cordial social level, probably listen to some of the same music that he listens to. Like he can be more relatable in that way. And I would agree. Look, most defensive coaches in this current era, they do struggle. But the best thing a head coach can do, whether you're a defensive head coach or not, is be smart enough to recognize you need to go out and make sure you hire an OC. That's an OC that thinks in terms of today's NFL, an OC that's open-minded, an OC that's creative, and let him do his thing. You be the head coach, you be the overseer, but the strength of a head coach to me is what type of guys do you put around you, right? What does your coaching staff look like? Special teams, defensive coordinator, offense coordinator, that matters. So I think that to me, like-minded, you don't have to turn around and go, well, I'm 36. I need to go out and get a defensive coordinator that's 69, 70. You don't have to do that. There are some young, talented defensive coordinators like him out there, an offensive coordinator like him out there. So I say your fate is tied to your quarterback. We always talk about that, right? Ultimately, your fate's tied to your quarterback. But if you want to give yourself the best chance for success, if you want to set yourself up for success, you better put guys around you that are smarter than you, because that works. Put guys around you and allow them to do what they do best, and you be an overseer. You be a head coach. And that might be difficult. Remember, he's coming off of being a defensive coordinator. Not everybody can wear that coach's hat and be an overseer and step back and go, right, you're the defensive coordinator. Let me step back, run your system the way you want to. So I do agree. He's basically the younger version of Pete Carroll. The question is he more open-minded like Pete Carroll? Because Pete Carroll understood, I know what kind of offense we want to run. We want to be smash mouth, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and open up the play action pass. That's kind of how Seattle did it when they were at their best. In this current NFL, it's different, right? In this current NFL, Chris, the pass sets up the run. The run is a complement to the pass. And the open question will be, can he make that adjustment overall as a head football coach to today's NFL? Not to mention, like you said, the talent you inherit is the talent you inherit. Geno's your quarterback. Geno had an amazing season 2 years ago. He kind of leveled off, and I would say he was better than the old Geno, but he wasn't as good as the new Geno. So I don't know what kind of Geno you're going to get going forward, but let's be clear. He's not their quarterback of the future. I would have to assume they're going to be aggressive in the draft.
And then, of course, there's Dan Quinn. He's not going to Seattle, but it looks like he is on the radar of the Washington Commanders, and he could be in line to pick up that head coaching job. So he would jump from the Cowboys to the Commanders, which obviously is going to impact the Dallas Cowboys defense if he makes that move. And again, it would be another defensive-minded head coach getting a head coaching job. So that would certainly be interesting. But Mo, let's jump back a little bit. It's funny because Coach Macdonald is 36 years old, and we both just kind of agreed that being 36 years old, you're going to relate to the players in your locker room so much better. But then you put that next to a conversation we had a month and a half ago about Matthew Stafford, who is 35 years old, who couldn't relate.
And he was walking around. Wasn't he walking around with a clipboard to try to remember all their names and stuff like that?
And it's funny. It's just that one little dynamic, quarterback player to head coach. You want your head coach to be a little bit younger. 36 is young in the head coaching game. 35 is old in the player game. So just that dynamic there is very interesting. Before we move on, though, I want you to think about this. I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm going to plant the seed, and we're going to discuss this further next week, all right? Matthew Stafford is 35 years old. Let's say that he plays another year with the Rams. That puts him at 36, okay? Not saying he's going to retire.
I know where you're going.
You know who's a free agent after next season? Jared Goff. We like symmetry here at the morning show, Mo. Wouldn't it be something if Jared Goff returned to the Rams as their starting quarterback 2 years from now and replaced Matthew Stafford? That would be something.
That's an interesting plant because I don't think that's far-fetched. I don't think that's a reach. And the continuity would be fine, right? Because he knows McVay's system, right? He would just slide back in. Now, to your point, though, if Matthew Stafford can stay upright and healthy,
he's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere because Jared Goff's a good quarterback. Matthew Stafford is one of those rare ones that can make throws that a lot of quarterbacks can't make.
100%. 100%. All right, let's pivot a little bit. We're going to stay in the NFL, but we're going to go to the world of fashion. Now, I don't know how much you know about this, but this is 100% having to do with your team, sir. There is a wife on your team, Kristin Juszczyk.
Oh, yeah, she got the rights. I saw that.
She got the rights. She did. So if you are not a 49ers fan, and if you are not a Taylor Swift fan, you probably have never really heard who Kristin Juszczyk is prior to this season. Kristin Juszczyk is the wife of, is it Frank Juszczyk? Is that his name?
Kyle
Juszczyk, who is a player for the San Francisco 49ers. And she is also a fashion designer. And for years now, this is not a new thing. For years now, she has been hand designing clothing, not just NFL related, but some of it has been NFL related. And she has not been just doing it for herself. She's been making it for other NFL wives. So every now and then you will see another 49ers wife show up in some custom, really cool looking 49ers swag. And she got it from Kristin Juszczyk. And then that expanded a little bit. And you started to see some wives from other teams show up in really cool team swag. Well, they became friends with Kristin and she hooked them up, even though they were on different teams. And now they had cool swag for their teams. And she's been trying forever to get a deal with the NFL or to get a deal with Nike, and it's failed every time. She's had a couple of meetings. Nothing's really ever come of it. And then Taylor Swift enters the picture, and she makes Taylor Swift and Brittany Mahomes the jackets that they wore a couple weeks ago against Miami, and it has blown up since then. And like Mo just said, this past week, she finally got her licensing deal with the NFL. She is now officially licensed by the NFL to use the name, likeness, and image of all 32 NFL teams, which as a creator of a product is just going to skyrocket her business. So it is a huge opportunity. It is a huge get for her. But Mo, I say all of that to say this. And I'm not going to delve too much into this, but there is this background narrative behind Kristin Juszczyk because people out there, a specific group of people out there, feel that her clothing is designed for a particular group of women, a particular type of woman. And that is all she is catering to. And they are upset about it because they don't think that her brand, and I'm going to use the word inclusive.
I knew you were going to use that word.
inclusive
right.
to all women. And once you start throwing around the word inclusive, Mo, you know where we're going to jump to next.
Right.
And that's now the narrative around her. And I just want to say this. You weren't there bagging on her for the past 3 or 4 years while she was building up her brand, while she was putting in the grind, while she was doing everything that she had to do to get to where she is now. I just find it a little suspect that on the heels of her getting her licensing deal, which is basically going to launch her into the multi-million-dollar category,
Correct.
now all of a sudden you don't feel included. Now all of a sudden you feel like she is shaming or closing out or neglecting a certain population of people. Little weird to me, the timing, Mo. Little weird that when she was, the grinder who was trying to get a deal, we weren't really talking about this. But now that Taylor Swift is wearing her stuff and Brittany Mahomes is wearing her stuff, and I get it. You can say that Brittany and Taylor fit into a similar mold, whatever. But now you have an issue with it. Now that the bag is coming in, you have an issue with it. That just sits wrong with me, Mo. And so I will say this. I don't think that Kristin Juszczyk wakes up thinking about you. So I don't know why you wake up thinking about her.
Correct. Like you said, when she was grinding and she was making these jackets and things of that nature for other people, you weren't interested. Matter of fact, you know how this goes.
And you probably could have had one.
Right. But you know how this goes, right? In the early going, she's just, that's Juszczyk's wife trying to make money. She makes those little silly outfits. Nobody really likes them. It's that kind of thing. And
she's trying too hard. She's doing too much.
She's doing too much. And so you tune her out. Meanwhile, she just keeps grinding. And finally, it pays off. And you know this. You can get Taylor Swift or Patrick Mahomes' wives to wear your gear. And not just wear your gear, but it actually looks good.
Right.
It's something that's appealing to other people. And she's about to blow up. Now you're like, well, she never made any clothes that explored other avenues or other people, or to your word, if she's not inclusive. Like, it is really easy today in these times to make an issue of a non-issue. You really can. You can do that. What I would say to anybody out there that feels that way is, remember, she just got her licensing deal. She's about to blow up. But guess what? Give her some time. She probably will make outfits and jackets and things of that nature that are more inclusive. You know what I'm saying? Like she's just establishing herself in that way, and you've already made up your mind like she only caters to a certain sector of the country. I disagree. Give her an opportunity. But like you said, I don't think she's losing sleep over it. I'm wondering why the people who weren't down with her when she was grinding, why they're losing sleep over it today.
Well, the New York Times came out with a story because obviously after the Kansas City Chiefs win the AFC Championship, now the conspiracy theorists are coming out of the woodwork. The NFL wants the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. The NFL wants a Taylor Swift Super Bowl. The NFL wants Taylor and Brittany to be involved because on the other side, you have Kristin and there's some other famous 49ers wife over there as well. So you want to get all four of them together in the Super Bowl because it's going to bring in all these viewers and whatnot.
I think it's Kittle's wife.
Yes. So, apparently the women are the reason this Super Bowl is happening, Mo. But the New York Times came out with a story this week, and it addressed the Taylor Swift phenomena. And the New York Times went back, and they broke down every single Chiefs game that took place after Taylor made her first appearance at a Kansas City Chiefs game. And they went through all those broadcasts, and they tallied how much time Taylor Swift's face was on the TV screen during all those broadcasts. Any guesses, Mo? How much time on average they show Taylor Swift?
I don't know, 4 or 5 times.
How long?
Oh, how long?
Yeah.
I don't know. 15, 20 seconds.
Yeah, 25 seconds. 25 seconds in a 3.5 hour broadcast. Taylor Swift's face was on the screen. Now, last week against the Ravens, it was 32.5 seconds. So it was a little bit higher than what it was on average.
They got greedy.
During the Dolphins game, it was almost a minute that she was on the screen. But in all fairness, the window was frozen. It took a minute for you to actually see her in there.
This is true.
25 seconds, Mo. And this is what a large portion of the NFL population is focused on saying things like it's rigged and I just want to watch football and I don't want to turn on a playoff game and have to see Taylor Swift's face. Mo, 25 seconds is shorter than a commercial. Commercials are 30 seconds
shorter,
long.
Right. Yeah.
So you saw Taylor Swift for a less amount of time than you saw a commercial for any said product. Pick a product. That commercial was longer than Taylor Swift being on TV the entire broadcast. So essentially, Taylor Swift's TV time is a commercial. But that's the reason why they're there. And that's the reason why hordes of NFL fans are going to turn away from the product. Mo, you're a Lakers fan. Who was always on TV at Lakers games?
Jack. They're always showing Jack.
Why is nobody upset about that? Every time Kobe or Shaq made a great play, who'd they flash to?
They flashed
Jack.
Jack. Right.
Because he always had a big response, right?
Right.
But that wasn't driving people away, was it? How about back in the 90s, early 2000s, New York Knicks games?
Spike Lee. Yep.
He was always on TV. But that wasn't driving people away from the games. Whenever you show a big NBA primetime game, they're always showing who's sitting courtside. Always. It's not driving people away from the game. Why is Taylor Swift driving people away from the game?
Well,
supposedly.
The crazy part is what they said is she actually brought in over $300 million in revenue. Yes. She's not driving nobody away, and she's making people buy things. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, why is that a negative? Why is that bad? I really feel like you're trying too hard if you're trying to make it like Taylor Swift's bad for the NFL. Like, I think that's insanity. Look, if you want to say you've become a Chiefs hater because they've had so much success in recent years,
that's fine.
Then just say that.
Yeah,
but
that's fine.
Their winning or losing, trust me, has nothing to do with Taylor Swift. Now, the fact that her boyfriend is a member of the Chiefs and one of their best players, I get that. But that's the only connection. She doesn't determine wins or losses. She really doesn't. And from my point of view, and I'm a fan, I'm on the outside looking in, she's actually been good for the NFL, right? She's bringing in over $331 million in revenue. And it's continuing to go up, Chris. And we all tune in for the Super Bowl. It is the biggest game. It doesn't struggle for viewership. But guess what? Because she's going to be there. You don't think people are going to remember, those Swifties, they're humongous. Her fan base is insane. I don't find that to be a negative at all. Some of those people are probably casual fans that are coming in to watch the game. That's a good thing. I don't think it's negative at all. The conspiracy stuff it's so over the top that I'm not even going to get into some of the stuff that goes into to politics. I'm not touching that. But I'll just say this. I don't have a problem with her being. She doesn't annoy me. She doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me that way. When I was watching KC versus the Ravens, like you said, those 25 seconds didn't flinch, didn't bother. I was so locked in on the game. I don't care if she celebrates for that moment and they pan back. That doesn't matter to me. Guess what? People's wives and girlfriends and significant others, they've been celebrating forever. It just so happens she's a megastar. And for some reason, you think that, I guess, megastars can't be regular and they can't celebrate and be like the rest of us. I would say that she's trying to be more like a normal person, right? Supportive of someone who's close to her that's playing or participating in the event. So I don't understand the hate, but we live in the kind of times with social media that we will make something of nothing.
I saw a really heartwarming video on TikTok the other day. It was this dad, and he was sitting there, and they were watching the Ravens game, and his daughter, who looked to be, 10, 11, 12, she's laying on the couch, and she's got her Taylor Swift blanket on her, and she's intently watching the game. And he's like, hey, who's your favorite player? And she goes, Travis Kelce. And he's like, oh, what position does he play? And she goes, tight end. And he's like, okay, and like, well, where do tight ends line up? And she explains where tight ends line up. And he comes back and he goes, 6 months ago, she would never watch a football game. Now every weekend we watch Kansas City Chiefs games together because of Taylor Swift.
I love it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It is.
Come on. And you're going to sit here and tell me that your team lost because of Taylor. It's ridiculous, Mo. It's absolutely ridiculous.
We could have done that same bit. My 13-year-old, the one that we took the phone from, she loves Taylor Swift. And she has no interest in sports at all. But she's watched the last 4 or 5 Kansas City. Matter of fact, she's come up to me and said, "Are the Chiefs playing this week?"
Hey.
And I'm good with that. That doesn't bother me. She's actually on the couch with the old man.
Right.
And she's asking me questions and stuff, and I'm good with that. That's not a bad thing.
No, that's not a bad thing at all. And again, there's only one person responsible for that, and that is Taylor Swift.
Right.
So the NFL didn't do that. Travis Kelce didn't do that. That is 100% because of Taylor Swift. So, listen, I mean, you want to hate on someone who's literally bringing kids and their parents together? That's crazy, Mo. That's crazy talk.
She's bringing together kids and their parents, Chris, and she's bringing in $330 million.
Right. Not to mention that part of it over there.
Right.
Mo, let's talk a little WWE, shall we? I saw a really interesting theory online yesterday, and I cannot get it out of my head. I'm going to lay it out for you, and I want to hear your thoughts. The theory is based solely on The Rock, okay? And it's talking about what The Rock has really done since he basically left WWE for good the first time and then has sporadically made his returns since then. And it's talking about his feud with John Cena, Rock Cena 1, Rock Cena 2, Rock CM Punk. Those have been some of his biggest feuds since he left WWE to do his acting thing. I mean, he's come back sporadically over the last 6-7 years to do these big things with WWE, with some of their biggest superstars at the time. The point of the video was this. If you look at Rock Cena 1, if you look at Rock Cena 2, if you look at Rock CM Punk, the one thing, these are all big feuds. The one thing that all of these feuds had in common was the buildup. All of these feuds were basically about a year in the making. Rock Cena 2 was announced a year ahead of the actual match. Rock Cena was announced about 9 months ahead of the actual match. Rock CM Punk was almost a year before the actual match. So you take that into consideration. Then you pivot to an interview that The Rock did last week. And last week, The Rock was talking about it. He was talking about him and Roman Reigns. And he was talking about how if him and Roman Reigns did business at WrestleMania, it would probably be the greatest WrestleMania match of all time. And in that same interview, The Rock was talking about how much he lives for the story and how invested he is in storytelling. Mo, if you haven't checked your calendar today is February 1st. WrestleMania 40 is only 2 months away. What about any of the past history with The Rock tells you that we're going to see Rock Roman thrown together and promoted in only 2 months? Wouldn't it seem more likely that we get Rock Roman at WrestleMania 41 with a year buildup? Which means what happens at WrestleMania 40? The Rock's already been confirmed for WrestleMania 40. So he's going to be there. He's going to do something there. Mo, what happens if Cody's going to finish the story at WrestleMania 40 and the bloodline gets involved and The Rock comes out and he clears house and he clears the way for Cody to finish the story?
He helps.
And then
Cody.
he hits Cody with a rock bottom.
That would be amazing.
Roman retains because The Rock is part of the bloodline. The Rock is part of the family. But then the following night on SmackDown or on Raw or the following SmackDown, that is when we start the path. Because although The Rock helped Roman because they're family, one could argue The Rock really is the head of the table. So maybe on SmackDown after WrestleMania, The Rock comes out and says, I'm inserting myself to my rightful place, which is the head of the table. You're still a part of this family and a great part of it. You're just not the head, and you never really were. And then, boom, you have the feud started. But I'm just saying.
I love that. Now, I don't know if it's going to play out like that.
2 months is not a long time.
It is not
to build this feud
but
into
I do like
what has been a match in the making for years. And if you think about it, we saw The Rock on TV, 3 weeks ago? The Rock came out and he said that line about being head of the table.
Yes.
It hasn't been spoken about since. Roman's been on TV a couple of times. He has not addressed
it.
The Rock. So that also kind of leads into the why aren't we talking about it? Because if you think about the Rock Cena stuff from their feuds, that's what would happen. Every couple of months, The Rock would pop up or Cena would pop off on The Rock, and they would have some really great exchanges. And then The Rock would go away and Cena would be pushed into another feud for a little bit. And they just kept revisiting it, right? They kept going in and out and revisiting it and building and building and building until finally they had the match. Rock comes out. He makes his statement, head of the table. We don't hear about it. At some point, it's going to be addressed. But you would have to imagine if we don't get the ball rolling fairly quickly this week, next week, the build is going to seem pretty rushed for what should be an epic match with a long build, because 2 months is not a long time to build something of this magnitude if you're not going to see them week after week after week. And we know we don't see Roman week after week. We're not going to see The Rock week after week. So if you're not going to have them on TV 6, 7, 8 shows in a row to get those moments week after week, this looks like a pretty hard thing to build in 8 or 9 weeks if you're only going to see them 2 or 3 times together.
Well, I like where you're going because everything you said makes sense. The build-up for Rock and Cena, the build-up for Rock and CM Punk, they built up that story to perfection and had us all, we couldn't wait. And this would be rushed. Like you said, Roman's not going to be on TV for 6 or 7 shows in a row. Definitely The Rock's not going to be on TV. I don't know how that works other than what you put out there. I think what you put out there is more plausible than anything else. Rock will be a big part of WrestleMania. I do think he's going to interfere. He'll interfere because obviously we know the bloodline's going to interfere. I think he does interfere. Now, the only question is where you may be wrong or right is, does he help Cody win? Or does he, because to me, if he does what you said, that starts the march towards the next WrestleMania.
Right away, immediately.
Right away. Yeah. That starts it because the following show, if it's whether it's Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, Rock comes out and go, I didn't do that for you. You know what I mean? Like, I did it for the bloodline because I'm actually the head of the bloodline. And there we go. We're off to the races. And like you said, there could be the buildup because there could be a little mini feud at a couple of bigger pay-per-views along the way. Cody's still upset. He wants a piece of the Rock. So they face off in an event along the way.
SummerSlam or somewhere.
Right. Exactly. I love that. I hope something like that
happens. If you go that way, I mean, the possibilities are endless here. Let's say The Rock helps Roman. And again, he takes that stance. I didn't do this for you. I did this for the bloodline. I did it for the family. And then he asserts himself as the head of the bloodline. Now you have that friction between them. And now maybe you have The Rock showing up at Roman's next title defense to oversee him, to make sure he's representing the bloodline appropriately, right? And now you got that going on. And then maybe you're right. Maybe we see Cody Rock at SummerSlam or something. And maybe Roman tries to help The Rock, but ends up costing The Rock the match.
That would be hilarious. Yes.
So perfect. Now The Rock is pissed at Roman because Roman's not upholding his part of the bargain. He's still got the belt. Right. Roman's still champion throughout all this. And it's just, it'll be such a dynamic because Roman's not going to change the way he presents himself, but at the same time, he's going to have to change a little bit when The Rock is around. So now we're going to see Roman Reigns head of the table mentality when The Rock's not here. But then when The Rock's looking over his shoulder, we get like a little skittish version of Roman Reigns, which could be hilarious.
And don't
for
forget,
TV.
Also the dynamics with Paul Heyman.
Right.
Because Paul Heyman is usually he's a speaker box. He does all the talking. You know, The Rock's gonna cut him off and go, you know he's gonna cut him off and get into him. Like, I talk for I don't really need somebody to talk for me. I mean, those dynamics are gonna be insane. The dynamics with Jay, I could see at some point maybe Cody and Rock going at it at one of the bigger events and Solo getting involved, maybe costing The Rock the match, and Rock looking at Roman like you put him up to it. Like, there's so much you could do with that.
And don't forget, after WrestleMania last year, Roman Reigns said, this is just the beginning of the story. After the bloodline kind of broke up and there was the Civil War, Roman Reigns said again, you think we're at the end of the story, but we're really just at the beginning of the story. And you looked at it and you were like, how? There's so much that has happened. Jay's and the Usos are separated now. You're losing people in the bloodline on SmackDown. How can you sit there and say we're closer to the beginning than we are the end when we're already 3+ years into this? If you add The Rock into the mix in that way, you just got another year out of this story where you're going to see a bunch of stuff that's going to be highly entertaining for the next calendar year. That's still going to have Cody involved because it's going to extend Cody's story as well.
Right.
And it can still end where it should with Cody taking the title, but it just wouldn't happen at this WrestleMania. It would be, and it would literally be what I believe Chase said the other night on Coffee and Kayfabe. It could be next year's WrestleMania, night 1, it's Roman and Cody. In night 2, it's Roman and Rock. Same ending. We just put it off a year because we got more stories to tell along the way. So I have no idea. Obviously, none of that could happen. But
I know, Look, you and Chase don't write for WWE, but if there are writers out there and they're not going along this path, they should be. That is everything you guys said. That's not gold. That's platinum. That's how good that was. That's
so much story there.
Because you can also do little side stories. If Rock comes back and he's the head of the table and he's an active head of the table from time to time, what does Rock do? He's going to find a way to bring Jay back, right? He's going to make them whole again. He's going to find a way to bring Jay back. They may very well get the tag titles back. I don't think that's impossible because, like you said, you're going to get another year, maybe even 2 out of this storyline.
And let's not forget, go back circa 2003, Hollywood Rock heel was hilarious. That heel version of The Rock, where he was kind of the chicken shit, not defiant, the Goldberg feud, he played the guitar and he sung.
I love that guy.
That version, you wouldn't get that extreme because he would be the head of the table, but you would still kind of get similar to that version because he is going to run a little bit from the challenge of other people, right? But at the same time, he's also the head of the table. It's very similar to what Roman was, but I think with a little more personality and a little more flair. It's endless. Possibilities are endless, Mo.
Rock has the gift of gab. He is a great heel. He's a great heel.
All right. Well, hey, we went a little long with our WWE stuff, so we're going to close it out here, Mo.
Thank you so much for everybody in the chat. Thank you for everybody who's listening to Chris and I live. We appreciate you. Check out all the great content we have to offer for you guys on Sports Empire Network. Check out the Empire.
Make sure you join us same time, same place tomorrow. We're going to talk about Vic Fangio and his move to the Eagles. We're going to break down Brady Quinn's top 5 list of quarterbacks. All of that and more tomorrow morning here. Coffee and Sports. It's the morning show powered by Sports Empire Network, and we will see you in the morning.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face.
Oh, I'm from Brooklyn.
Hey, guys, any